Welcome back to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.
You women.
Do not lump us all in one category.
So you girls, and lie and stretch the truth and try to get us jammed up.
First of all, I'm a whole ass woman, right? Think about
no
that.
No disrespect.
Sounds like it to me. So why can't y'all? What is it with men that they just can't walk away?
Depends how good it is. You don't want to give that away.
Welcome, ladies and germs. This is a new episode of Wedlocked and Loaded. I am Daniel Laurent.
And I am Leah Nicole.
And this episode, I'm going to probably lead and just kind of have this conversation with our guest, Coach La, that's here.
Oh, because you're trying to get some free therapy?
Yeah, I need it because it's tough living. So anyway, so Coach La, Conversations with Coach La, she does her shows. She's well known in the streets. I mean, that didn't sound good. Well, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, but she is typically giving us powerful conversations, helpful conversations, and thoughtful conversations and journeys. And we wanted to turn the tables on her and pop her cherry. Okay. And so we were her first. Yeah. And us guys.
Be very clear about being the first what?
No, I want to leave it open because people can use their interpretation.
That's the problem.
Hey man,
you're always trying to leave it open. But anyway.
So anyway, we want to welcome Coach La to the show. Welcome to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here. You guys are so fresh. I swear to God, you make me feel like I'm a sex therapist. I'm not.
You will be tonight, baby.
Please.
So, let's just dig right in. No need of courting and all that whining and dining. I want to get right to it, right? Exactly. Let me ask you, what's the difference between a life coach and a therapist?
Ooh, okay. You're gonna really jump right in. And I gotta use my brain at 8:42 in the evening. Well, what I would say is that a life coach is really goal directed. It's very task and it's set up for you to be ready to move forward. A lot of times when you think about therapy and psychotherapy, people are looking in the rearview mirror. I don't know how many people caught the show last night, but I had Elliot Connie, who is a psychotherapist, and he is a specialist with solution-focused therapy. And I've always been borderline. Yes, I'm a psychotherapist, but I'm also a life coach. So a lot of times I was in a space of wanting to move people forward and think about their future and what they want to accomplish in life and not to stay immersed in their problems and their trauma and their drama, but how do you get out of that? So I feel like, I really have found a good technique that I am perfecting and really immersing myself into, which is how do we start to think progressively? There's a concept I came across called feed forward, where you didn't look at feedback, but you looked at all of the information was a gift. And when you get this information, how does it either help you grow, make you a better person? And if it does, take what helps you, and then all the other stuff that isn't going to help you, leave it alone. You don't have to respond, or as they say, every argument that you're invited to, you don't have to actually accept it. So sometimes we just sort of we marinate and ruminate in the problem, and I don't see how that's really moving any of us forward to sit and just, why am I having this problem? Even if you knew why you had the problem, is that going to make the problem go away, or is that going to make you not have had the problem because now you understand why you got the problem in the first place?
But so my asterisk to that, Leah, is something burning in you?
Yes, but go ahead.
You need cream?
Go ahead. I mean, tell me, do it.
Jesus. So, so to your statement, what do you say to me who, you look at the problem, if there's a reoccurrence of the problem, and you want to actually analyze and reflect and figure out what the hell, why does this keep, and you want to don't dwell in it and don't spend hours and weeks and months in it, but you want to actually sit in it and be in that thing, right?
But aren't you already sitting in it and being in it every time you engage.
But I think it's different of feeling versus like being in it and being able to reflect and think like what got you to this point? What part did I play possibly? Like, is there something that I'm putting out that's attracting? You know, versus just and I'm only asking that because in my opinion, I think there are a lot of people who stuff happens and it's like, oh, well, it is what it is. This is me. Right. And there's no accountability of the part that they played in ruining a relationship or fragments in a relationship. And it makes it hard for me to deal with people like that because like, where is, you know?
So I think it's interesting because like one of the things that you and I talked about and planned on talking about, and not to step on your toes, Coach Locke, was
you put my business out there.
Anyway,
I didn't give you consent.
Anyway. A lot of times people, especially if we're talking about relationships, right? They can be romantic relationships or they can be platonic relationships. But a lot of times people are so focused on, well, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault, right? Where sometimes it's not about the blame. It's not about who should be accountable for all the things that happened, right? Because it's always going to be something that leads up to whatever is going on. The same way I tell the kids, every action, your consequences are your actions, right? So good, bad, or indifferent, right? There's going to be something is going to come out of this whatever you chose to do. There is going to be a consequence that is going to come out of this situation. I think a lot of times, you know, when people think about therapy, they think about, more so of the right now. And to speak on the emotional part that you're talking about, it's not about sitting and dwelling in that feeling, right? Because no matter what, anytime you encounter a situation that was reminiscent of something that happened, that affected you in a way, you are going to feel that thing, regardless of how many times it has happened, whether it's going to evoke new feelings or it's going to bring you back to that said time. Right. And so with that being said, I know a lot of times for me, when I'm having my aha moments, I'm totally removed from said situation. And it's like, wow, this is why, right? Like something triggers something where it's just like, it just brings you right. It brings you back. But in that moment, you have a moment of clarity as opposed to having moments of anger or sadness. It's just clarity.
What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, all of those emotions are relevant, but I still go back to what do we want to achieve?
Right.
I think ultimately, I don't think that people don't know why they do what they do. I think sometimes the hard part is acknowledging that to yourself, not even to me. But I feel like when sometimes people come to therapy, they have all of the information. And it's almost like, are you going to ask me the right questions to get me to say it, to tell it, to speak it out loud, right? So I think human beings are way more intelligent, way more capable than they give themselves credit for. And ironically, I think when we start to talk about fear and talk about why we do what we do, I think we know. I think what makes change hard for folks is just being able to have hope and optimism that they can be different. I think at times when we do something that maybe isn't so favorable or is considered bad, we embody that becomes part of our identity and our personality versus it just being an action, just something that we experience and something that we did. And if we can do that, then you can change. But once you become that thing and that whatever you did that was wrong, so say you're a liar, you're a cheater, or you're a manipulator, you take this on as your identity, then what are you really supposed to do with that besides become that? And that's who you are. But if it's just something that transpired and that was your response to something, then you can make a different choice if it ever comes about again.
So there's hope for you, babe. So because like, you know, breaking your husband's heart is just like a wild
Baby,
thing.
this is not your time.
Yeah. We'll schedule offline. All right.
Well, but I think that's part of it, right? So we get caught in this like cycle of, you did this to me. You broke my heart. You did this, you did that. But in all actuality, no one can really do anything to you per se.
Bullshit.
Well, they can hit you, right? So you get slapped. I'm thinking about emotionally, though. Emotional wounds, right? Don't you think that some people will have the same experience that and not have that same visceral reaction and move on and be like, hey, you know what? I don't like what you did. That doesn't sit well with me. Here's my boundary. Here's where, goes. You made that choice. Shame on you. You just lost me. And it's not something that they hold on to, that they're a problem or that it's their fault. No, you chose to do that. And I told you that wasn't something I wanted to rock with. If you choose to rock with it, though, is that still the other person's fault now? Like, right. Should they still be sort of held to the iron casting because you won't let it go and you don't want to move forward, but you also won't leave them?
I think at times we tend to see
go.
Leah.
Sounds like another love TKO. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a big clip though. When you go edit though, that's gonna be good.
So what if a person just has a lot of optimism of the person changing and doing better? So you stick through all those things. You're like, they're gonna change, and once they get a job, once they get a good paying job, they won't be so angry and they won't yell so much. And once we get married, our relationship will be better. And once we have children, like you have those illusions of grandeur, I call it.
Yeah, I mean, wishful thinking. You having hopes and dreams for your future, I think is fine. I said, but the reality of it is that you don't have any control of what someone else is going to do. So you can have this optimism for the future, but then we go back to what is the person actually doing and where is the evidence that that's what they want to, or that they are making those choices to meet you where you are. I think Oprah said it best. Like at some point you got to just accept people for who they are, meaning that if they never ever change, would you be okay with it? And if the answer is no, isn't that more about you making the decision than them changing, right? Because sometimes we get with people and we want to change like 80% of who they are and what they've been doing. We want to change it. I think if you got to like your partner, you got to like majority, 80% of who they are, what they stand for, their marriage.
What about 69 and a half?
Well, anyway. I'm going to get at, you have to like more things about them than you dislike.
Yeah.
Right. Like their integrity, their character. And I would say, I would stretch my neck out to say, if your partner does things and that's just who they are and you like what they do without you telling them, then that's who they are as a person. You haven't came in and said, hey, I want you to take me on dates. I want you to communicate well. Like they naturally do all of those things, and it's things that you already like, then you don't have to teach them that. They already do that. That's who they are.
Right. I think just going back on something that you said, because all the things that you just spoke about, Daniel, one of the things that I tell my girls, whether they listen or not, right? And even just a conversation, my girls meaning my daughters, but also just talking with other adult females, a lot of times as women, we take that role of nurturer to heart, and we fall in love with a person's potential, as opposed to looking at and realizing that regardless of what their potential may be, they are showing us who they are in the moment. And that's what needs to be focused on. Because, just because we want something, we can see the value and the good in other people, and we may want to see that through and through. They have to see that for themselves, about themselves, and want it just as much for themselves.
I think that's the key indicator, right? So I can love your potential, but you also have a plan, right? You have ambition. Right. You're moving towards it. what I really love about you is you get up and go. There's still a possibility that, because I had a client once and it was like, well, a lot of the dreams and goals that her husband hadn't manifested. Even though he was trying and he had put his best foot forward, certain things just didn't happen. And he got down on his luck, but it was something that he was already doing. And that's just kind of lifing, right? Like, who doesn't have a moment where you've been trying everything and you just get down on your luck? That doesn't mean that he won't get it back, right? He may need the support, encouragement, like, hey, babe, you've always figured it out. You know, you've always had great ideas, you know, pointing out like the things that weren't in his control that caused things not to work. To kind of like, and you have it. And I think that's the main thing is people have more capacity than I think they realize they have, and they've already gotten through so many hard things. And I think your confidence is in your receipts. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we take enough inventory of like just how many hard things we already got over. The couples, for instance, you and your mate deciding that you want to go to therapy and work things out is the win. Right. The win. Even if you had to convince them, they still are doing it, right? They still are putting their best foot forward to try. If people would focus on that, the successes and the things that they're doing right, that is the catalyst to the change, right? Versus, oh, well, you did this last year and you probably do it again, and you did this and you did that. But what about what I'm doing now? That's usually what beats down people's, I think, motivators to want to change. It's like, what's the point? It doesn't matter what I do. You're still going to be, you're not changing either. You're not moving forward. You're still holding me like
hostage to that person.
Hostage to what I've done, even though I've asked for your forgiveness. I'm making efforts to change. There's no space because I haven't really gotten over it. And the reality of it is the question becomes, well, what do you need to get good at? What do you need to get over it? And most people can't answer that question.
Right.
Well, I know that space all too well. So, I mean, it just kind of strikes a nerve. Yeah. I wish I had a drink, but I'm just going to drink my water, my alkaline water.
I think Fresca is perfect.
I think this is perfect.
Yeah.
So,
I got a question.
Come on. Did I just get a setup? Did y'all just set me up for this and y'all little therapy plan that y'all was gonna pull me on here and like pick my
holy shit? Nice, I love it.
Okay, he be trying to use all the things, but no, this is.
Listen, I love it. Use your resources. Use your resources.
I had a question in terms of when you're doing your life coaching and then your psychotherapy, right? When you are in a psychotherapy, when you're in a session. Do you intertwine the two? And if not, how do you maneuver that where you switch hats?
That's such a great question.
Thank you.
Because one of my clients said to me, well, how do I know when you're doing psychotherapy and when you switch to coaching? And before I became a psychotherapist, I was a life coach first. And one of the reasons that really led me here was because you get to a point with life coaching where you felt like you had to refer people out, or you would have to say, I'm not a licensed therapist. Maybe you need therapy. And I was like, that's kind of like awkward. Like you build this rapport and then all of a sudden you got to stop everything and go, well, I think you need therapy because you're crying in every session and you seem like you're getting triggered by this. And wait a minute, I thought we was trying to start your business. And now you're like, but my husband doesn't support me. And I'm never going to get any support from him. And I think I want a divorce. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we was mapping out steps to like market your business.
But sometimes that is the step. Sometimes you gotta, you gotta break up with the one that ain't supporting you, the one that's supposed to be supporting you the most. I'm just saying.
Well,
WEDLocked and loaded.
Well, I think this goes back to, well, what do you want to accomplish? But I think instead of saying, hey, I think you need a therapist, we can just pause for a second and say, wait a minute, what's going on? Talk to me about what's happening in this moment because you're crying. Like, do you want to talk about that? And what do you hope to get out of this session at this point? Because it seems like it's taking a turn. And so I think that the coaching piece of it, if you read the specifications for therapy for a lot of insurance companies, it already has coaching listed in there, right? So like goal setting coaching. So it's a part of psychotherapy anyway. When you think about homework, creating goals for a treatment plan, like it's built in there.
Right.
I think the challenge is that if you don't know what kind of mental health potential diagnosis that you're dealing with, as a life coach, you can be like, okay, what's happening here? Like, it could just throw you off. Where for me, I'm gonna be like, I think my client might be depressed, or they may be experiencing anxiety. So I can take a moment and sort of explore that with them. And at the same time, we're still working on their goals and the things they want to do. I don't think having a mental health challenge is something that should stop you from pursuing your goals. I just think you need space to acknowledge, okay, wait a minute, there's something here that I need to work through. One of the reasons why I'm exploring the solution-focused therapy is I was feeling like I was being insensitive because I wanted to help people move forward. And should I just sit with you in the pain and sit with you where you're at? And I think that, yes, I should, but I always had this other thought of, and I say this in my introductions, you're not always going to like me. And yes, I'm not one of those therapists that we're just going to sit and talk about your problems all the time. If that's the type of therapist you're looking for, I'm probably not going to be a good fit. Because at some point, I'm going to say, okay, for the last several sessions, we've been talking about, and I'm going to repeat it back, and I'm going to go, well, what is your hope for this? Where do you want to go with this? What do you need to be able to create the life that you want? So I'm going to start asking you questions to try to move you to the life you want, not the life you had, but the life that you want, because trauma, things you've been through, really just shapes who you are as a person. Like, you can use that to be a catalyst to change and make an impact in the world, or you can sit in it and wallow in it and wonder why there's bad people in the world and why people hurt you. The reality of it is that they did, right? So they did. Is there ever going to be a good enough reason for somebody doing something messed up to you? No matter how much you sit and you think and you ponder, is there ever going to be a reason that you can be like, yep, you screwed me over and I can understand why you screwed me over there. And I understand it. No, it's not going to ever be a good enough reason. Even if you agree with their logic, like say somebody lied to you, be like, I can see why they lied. It doesn't change the pain and the hurt that was associated with the lie, even if you get the rationale of why they lied.
1 second. Just while we're here. I understand. But while we're here, I had a question in regards to at how long, I guess it's a two-part question. Have you ever had a client where you felt like, oh yeah, we're not the right fit for each other? Part two is, if so, how long did it take you to recognize that? And then what, I guess then what do you do with that client?
That's such a good question.
And this is interesting because you never hear from the provider side. I've heard from people that's gotten rid of their providers.
Yes.
So
full transparency, I usually let people decide it on their own, but when they do, I'm not shocked. Okay. Like, I haven't said to someone, I don't think I'm the right therapist for you and I'm going to transfer you out. That hasn't happened. But I typically will say at least 3 sessions in, we usually know if it's a good fit. Sometimes people go a little bit longer. And I think that's because of representation. Like, it's hard to find a Black therapist in general. So I think sometimes it's like when you find one, you really don't want to let them go. So they try to, stick it out a little bit longer. It hasn't happened to me that much, though, where somebody has fired me, if you want to use that word. I'm using it loosely, but decided I wasn't a good fit. But in every case, I wasn't surprised.
Right.
Like, I wasn't shocked. I was sort of like, I didn't want to be the one to sort of right out the gate say, I don't think I'm going to be the right therapist. What I would do, though, is that I would always empower them that, you know what, I think it's great that you're realizing what works for you. And I respect your decision. If that's all my job was to be that one person in their journey that just respected their no and respected that they decided that something wasn't a good fit, then I feel like I did my job, right? Instead of saying, well, why do you want to end? And I don't think you should end it, or taking it personal for my own ego. I do so much better in therapy with rejection than I probably do in my personal life.
Okay, so this is the segue, because this was my question. So, so similar to any other provider, whether it's a dermatologist or, you know, an ENT, you obviously have a circle of friends and family, right? That, you know, just kind of want to get a text message and send you a photo and say, hey, what do you think this is? Or somebody call you and say, hey, let me give you this scenario that just happened last night. What do you think about this? Right? And they want to get some therapy without paying a copay. How do you deal? So I have two parts.
So like what y'all are doing to me right now?
Not y'all.
So there's two parts. One, what do you? That is strong, whatever you're drinking. Yeah.
Can you not do that? Talk to the coach.
What is that?
My therapy. Talk to the coach.
This is so
so what how do you handle that with like friends and family calling to get, you know, a 15-minute session?
Okay.
And part B is, do you ever treat and see friends and family?
Ooh, this is good. Good questions, DL.
There you go.
Yes. You know why? So I've been thinking, I'm going to take the second part of your question first, because I think about duality of relationships. Like in some communities, right, there's only one gynecologist, there's only one doctor, and he's like, or he or she is very embedded in the community. There's only one midwife, so they're, you know, helping birth all the babies. So I really have changed my philosophy on this. And you guys know I branded myself as your favorite around the way therapist. So it happens way more than y'all believe, that people will be like, listen, I want to pick your brain. I just want to run something by you. What do you think? So I really do see myself as a resource. Now, if it goes beyond one call and you're calling all the time, I might be like, listen, so what are you really trying to do here? I even have some people send me messages that were not in my immediate circle, and I've had to have boundaries with that. So like if you are, say for instance, from Facebook, and you inbox me on Messenger, and I've had to say, I always respond. Well, not always. Most of the time I respond if you're an immediate friend, because I think you fall in the abyss if you're not like one of my friends. I don't see those messages. And I'll be like, okay, so let's talk offline. We can meet for a coffee and talk or something like that. And I will say, I consider you a friend. I can't be your therapist, but I can be a support system in your network. And what do you want to do? Do you want to vent, or do you want some feedback? So I will treat you like a friend, and I'll say, I can't be your therapist. You know, I can't be your therapist. But there are some times where it's like 6 degrees of separation where we know mutual people, but we don't hang out. You're not my person like that, where I have taken on people like that. And I had to say, you know, well, how do you feel knowing that we know mutual people and we're on social media and I see your post, you see my post, but we're not like buddies. We haven't hung out or anything like that. And I would never disclose that I'm your therapist. But if you disclose it, that's on you. But I'm never going to disclose it. You don't have to worry about me violating any of your rights, discussing your business or anything of that nature. So I hold that almost like an attorney-client privilege type of thing. So I do have some people that are in our circle that come see me, but that's like none of y'all's business. But people do.
I was hoping you was gonna, like, you know, drop a couple of names or something.
But people do reach out for support, and I'm just glad that I can be a listening ear. I think I'm very sensible, and I take a very I'm very objective. So I think if anything, if you contact me, I'm always going to try to give you, well, what about this? Have you considered that? Could this be anything else? If you're not looking for that, I would say you don't want to talk to me, because I'm going to validate you. But then I also want to sort of say, like, confirmation bias is real, right? And that's when you already have an opinion in your mind and you're going to look for all the evidence to prove your point. So are you really open to any other perspectives when you're operating in confirmation bias?
So staying here. Were you done?
No.
Okay.
Well,
there was two parts to his question. So okay, yes, I've had people who are in my immediate circle, and it's been both a plus and a minus. So the plus is when they have copays and put balances. I mean, no, that's the minus. And it's like, do I go hard after the money when I've been you didn't pay? I've taken an L on a lot of these situations because sometimes it's people's kids. So teenagers, kids, and things like that have been, I think, the hardest one when people have reached out and wanted me to talk to like young people. And the young person is not really financially liable. And the parent, like, so like, who do you go after? So I've just taken and written those off. And I'm like, well, I already know going into it, that's a potential issue. So I already do my own thing, which is, how are you going to feel knowing I'm your therapist? 2, what's going to happen financially if I do this and they don't pay? And why am I doing it? So if I just want to be a helpful person, then I need to realize that that's why I did it and make it be about that. I've also had those be the ones that just stop coming to therapy more than anything else without necessarily giving a cutoff. They just somehow stop responding, which is awkward as hell, right?
Because
so
they know they owe.
I don't think it's about owing. They just don't want to do therapy anymore, and they think that can be awkward. So, like, without having the discussion, some people don't do well with endings and transitions and like saying goodbye. But that was their stuff before they came to me.
Before, yeah,
right.
So my quick little thing along what you said is see, you just made me.
I didn't even get a question off because you stopped me.
And then you said, what about family members? I think you asked me about family members.
Or family, friends.
Right. And what do I do when they just want that consultation for like 15 minutes? Because then it was like, do I take clients?
Oh, I remember it.
That's the second part. The first part is, I recently had this discussion with my sister. Shout out to my sister, love her to death. I was like, I don't be charging y'all. Like, I don't charge y'all for this. Like, there's no consultation fee. But like, if my sister styles me, right, or I buy an outfit, she wants her money, man. She wants me to pay for that stuff, right? And I'm like, yo, you do realize I do this for real. So like, I should be sending you a consultation budget bill or something.
That's funny. I wasn't expecting that.
Because I do business coaching too. So a lot of people pick my brain around just business strategy, ideas, how to do their events. And I don't charge them for that, which I should.
So
go ahead.
So I remember what it was. So for you have figured out some nice guardrails for boundaries, it seems like, where you have it open where people can talk to you and you're open to meeting people for coffee and all that stuff, as opposed to being very like, which is interesting.
Yeah. And I say this, of course, it's based on my schedule and if I have time.
Yeah.
Right. So if I have the time, I will do it and I will talk to you. What I've learned is to say, hey, I got 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes and I'm here to, listen. Do you want me to just listen? Are you looking for feedback? And that's been really helpful. I've done that for a couple of people and they either decided to go talk to another therapist, or that one conversation really was helpful to give them a perspective. And that's all they really needed. Not everybody needs like a long-term therapy thing, but I think that's what's helped build my brand too. Like, I think I've done a really good job of being a good resource in the community that's helped. Like, I have a good support system of folks, so I think that's pretty dope.
Thank you for your help when you helped Leah that night, because when she came home, it really benefited me.
Boy, bye.
How she treated me. And so I just
want to know what you're talking about.
He is so full of bologna. It's not even funny.
I want to thank you for your service.
I don't know what I did. You're just so full of it.
I know what she did, so I want to thank you for your
Oh yeah.
All right, Leah.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Whatever. But I mean, honestly, one of the things I love about all of it is that I want to be like an antibiotic to the community. I think if I can just bring positive vibes, positive energy, not in a way that I don't act human. You know, like I get tired, I get irritable. Like I want to be able to show how you can have an emotion that's not necessarily and still be healthy with it. Like you don't have to be nasty and disrespectful because you're having a bad day.
Hello.
Right? You can just say, hey, I'm not in the best of spirits today. I feel low energy, you know, just letting you know, I'm not in that space like I normally am. Right. And so I often don't even go to a lot of events when I'm feeling emotionally drained. And I think that
I see.
Don't do that.
Because you don't want to be a party pooper and that energy spreads.
Right. I mean, not even just that, but just I think that's where the personal boundaries come in at of being okay with taking care of yourself and realizing you just don't have the energy to spend.
To be.
You know, and that has been like, y'all know I'm on a birthday tour, my birthday tour. And I added extra dates.
Okay.
Right. I added extra dates, but when I look back at it, I knew my capacity was probably like 1 or 2 events a week. Anything more than that was probably going to be, I wasn't going to come. But here's what I did. I said, listen, if my face on a flyer helped and people showed up because they thought I was coming, then I helped the promoter, right? People really inbox me like, I thought you were going to be there. You weren't there. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
No. You can't. No. Wait a minute. So
no. Don't go there. Don't do
this
that.
Isn't a question. This isn't a question. You can't do that. That's not fair. Like, what if you thought, and I'm only using because he was just here recently. What if you went to something because you thought AZ was going to be there, and then you get there and there's some yuck from Blue Hill Ave? How pissed are you going to be?
I really don't look at myself to be like that big of a deal.
Hey,
like nobody really cares.
Tough. And that's what you are.
I know, but I really don't buy into it. So I'm like, oh, nobody's going to really care.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. All right, Leah, go on.
Well, I learned my lesson because regardless of how many people reached out,
and it's also your brand, right? It's your name.
People were really looking out for me. Now, I had a really good reason why I wasn't there.
Nobody cares though.
But nobody really cared. But I mean, we at Urban Heat, shout out to DJ Wade. His mom passed away, so we've been like really supporting and going over there. So I went over there and literally, I'm like, Wade, I'm not gonna have any energy to do anything else. And I went home, and I'm 48 years old now. Once I sat on that couch, I was like, wait, I gotta go get dressed. I gotta do all of that. It was just a lot.
Yeah,
baby, age ain't nothing but a number. That's what the people said.
That's not a cool thing right now.
No. It's perfectly fine because see where you went with that?
There's only one way to go.
Minute. Do you see where you went with that?
I'm not talking.
One thing can have many implications.
Well, I agree with you. Age is only a number.
In our culture.
Stop.
However, what I was doing in my 20s versus what I do at 48 is very different.
Absolutely, right? I think I'm sorry.
But then again, that's not really totally true. I've never been a club person though.
I understand where you're coming from when you say
I never was.
Right. But what I'm saying is a lot of time people get so caught up, people themselves get so caught up in their particular age where they now start to age themselves, right? Oh, I'm 30. I can't do that anymore.
Oh, that's true. I agree with that.
Oh, I'm 40. I can't do that anymore. Meanwhile, you can still do all the things.
That's very true.
And I think not to do that. And then I think a lot of times we get so caught up psychologically in our number where we stop ourselves from actually living because guess what? Oh, I'm so old. Baby, what? You're not. You're only as old. I'm sorry.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, so that's all. That's what I'm saying.
They won't go back to school. They won't try new things. They're like, oh, I'm 50 years old now, but you're still alive.
But you're still alive, and you have a whole lot of. You have as much life in you as you want. This is what I feel like. right?
But what I was talking about is listening to your body when you're tired. And I was physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
I understand
that. And where in my 20s, I would have pushed myself because of peer pressure or groupthink. At 48, I'm like, people will have to understand and give me some grace. And if they don't, I gave it to myself.
Right. That's the part. So back to what I was going to ask you earlier. When you were talking about, giving advice to friends, who may not be looking specifically for a session, right? But you're there to listen and you're there to coach per se, right? And not necessarily coach, but just give your opinion on
that's what they ask for it.
Right.
I try to do it if it's unsolicited.
Right. Well, they're calling you. They're calling you. They want to bend your ear for the things, and then they want to say, "Hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z, or what would you do?"
The only person that I have to admit that I don't really do that with is my sister. She probably doesn't get that. I go into big sister mode. I'm like, what are you doing? Absolutely. Why are you doing that? And then I have to remind myself that she's a grown woman, but I'm like, you don't listen. So
now, with that said,
if she's listening, she definitely would be like, oh, you definitely don't always ask me if I want advice. I have to be
Have you ever had a friend or friends who have come to you, shared their woes and their woes, asked for your opinion, and then once you laid the shit down on the line, excuse my French, Missy, thank you. But anyway, have they ever decided
brain freeze? Look like
I was trying to figure out if I was gonna talk in English or if I was gonna go into French. But have you ever experienced that said friend, right? And I'm not talking about a new friend that you just met a month ago. I'm talking about somebody that you was in the thick of things with back in the day. Okay. Yep. Have you ever experienced after giving said advice or even just your opinion, right? Because that's a lot of times it's not telling you what to do, but it's just like, hey, if you ask me what I think about said situation and I tell you what I think about said situation and I'm leaving it up to you to move how you want to move from this particular thing. Have you ever felt as though or has the friend ever felt as though you were judging them with the advice or with the response that you gave, right? Yeah. And then decide, fuck. Oh, sorry. See, whoa. The more French.
Your show is way more entertaining than mine.
Never mind what you're saying. You weren't a friend to me from jump anyway. So I'm just gonna end this. But not even end it and let you know. Like I'm just gonna just stop talking to you.
Oh goodness, this is good. Ooh, but you said it can't be somebody that I just like recently connected with.
So not someone that you connect with. It could be either one, but I'm just specifically thinking about long-term friends. Mm-hmm.
But my long-term friends, though, we don't rock like that. Like I have friends that I've had for like 30 years.
Absolutely.
And it's just not like that. And that's what I'm used to. Like I'm used to, unfortunately, like we have these conversations that kind of can go totally left, but we don't stop talking to you. Like I'm not used to that. Well, that hasn't happened to me. I think I have one male friend who will come out but he's always joking, so I can't even use him. Like he'll be like, "You're on punishment. I'm not talking to you." Stuff like that.
But at least he's still saying to you, like, "Yo, I need."
That's what I mean. Like when I really think about my core friends, like, and those are all my friends from college. Like my high school friends, I feel like we're cool, but we're not tight like that.
Yeah.
So that might. I wonder if that's the difference of. I wonder if that's the difference of when, because you met them as you were an adult molding into who you are now, versus as a child when you are. Well, I wonder if there's a difference.
Well, I think sometimes in high school, so the same way that you should grow with your partner, right? I feel like you should be able to have that same growth with your friends
But I feel like I outgrew my high school friends.
You could have.
I didn't outgrow my college friends, but I feel like my high school friends, we all went in different directions. Everybody's cool. Like we're not, and we'll like get together, but I don't talk to them as much.
Right. But
there
that's
was a moment with my college friends because people got married. When people started getting married, having kids, we sort of all went a different direction. But then once we all reconnected, like, and met each other's wives, and I mean, not each other's, but I met people's wives and husbands and different things. They valued that they had like this core group of friends. Like when my dad passed away, 3 of my homeboys from college helped carry his casket.
Oh wow!
Those were like my boys that had met my dad when he was alive. The day my dad passed away, the 3 girls, the 3 women, I can't even call them girls, the 3 women that were standing behind me, like providing emotional support, are 3 women that I met in college. And one called the other 2, and they made me bawl that they was even there at the hospital where my dad was like, hey, he's not going to make it. They're taking all of the machines and stuff off of him. And Sharika, Angie, and my girl Kim, we all had like insect names too, right? Like Queen, Ladybug, Butterfly, right? I don't know why, but we did. We're all there, like literally next to me, holding my hand, rubbing my shoulder. Like I will never forget that. Like we don't talk every day.
Wow.
Like, but when stuff happens, that like I know who my core people are. But those are the people I would say get a pass to sort of tell you about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
One of my good friends, we had a run-in because I felt like she was the judgmental one. Like I felt like, because I could get a little wild. Like the coach y'all see now, the Lakeisha you see now is more refined, right? But there was a moment where, you know, I could throw him back, and I feel like a pastor that has this past, right? Like, wait, you should have seen me back when, right? But I was
we all do.
I definitely still don't have a filter, but I feel like then I would just say some things, and people would think it was because I was drinking. I'd be like, it doesn't matter if I'm drinking or not drinking. I'm going to say what I want to say, and they would be blaming it on the alcohol. But I take accountability for everything I've ever said, and I felt like I was being judged. I felt like she cared more about what other people's opinion was, and if it was about me, she could have pulled me aside. And I kind of went off in that way, and I was just like, you got a lot of nerve. Your shit stinks just as bad as other people, and you're full of it, blah, 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 blah. And all of y'all are full of it. Because the conversation was sexual, and I'm like, all y'all women act like y'all don't do this, this, and the third. And I'm the only one talking about it, and I'm the bad guy. So I like it. And of course, because I was drinking, they tried to blame it on the drinks. But that's how I truly felt. Like, I feel like there's not enough space for authenticity.
Right.
With all of these parameters on what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and when you say this and when you don't say that. And if you say that, then you're good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. And it'd be the same stuff people are doing behind closed doors, behind the scenes, or maybe worse than what you're judging me for.
Right.
So I think personally, one of the reasons I really love being a therapist is that most people who come to therapy are so worried about what other people think. Be it them taking a step to be a filmmaker and everybody wants them to be a lawyer, or they want to leave their marriage, or they want to take a trip by themselves. There's so many things where people are so worried about other people's perception. Even if it's their past, like, well, I did all this stuff in my past, so how am I going to do this? Because people know me as this, but what do you want? What do you want to do?
Right. Marriages,
for instance. Somebody cheated, and there's a lot of shame and guilt. Well, my family knows that they did it, but who cares? Like, if you're a person and you and your husband want to work through it.
Right.
Figure it out. You'd be surprised that a lot of couples are not even telling you that they're dealing with the same stuff because they don't want you to know their business.
Not surprised at all. I mean, I was that person, right? Like for me, it was always and again, that's just the way that we were raised, right? Like what goes on in this house don't need to leave these four walls, right? But also it was a matter of, oh damn, I can't even say this without it sounding kind of crazy.
Why filter yourself now, Leah? Just let it out.
Because it's not about me. Like that's why.
You telling my business?
It's not your business, but I'm saying the way that I would pose the comments, it just would sound crazy. It would sound so wild.
Well, listen to this. When I went to church, let me just say this. When I went to church, one of the things the pastor said, he's now a deacon, right? I think that's the right word. A bishop. He's a bishop. If your life was on the big screen, like all your intimate thoughts, all of the stuff that you want to go to your grave with was on the big screen for everybody to see, would we judge?
Absolutely.
Would you point fingers if all your stuff was out? Most of us do a very good job of not disclosing our dirty laundry and putting up a certain image for the world to see. Right. And then there's the stuff behind closed doors that either your family or your mate knows, or your therapist may know, or your attorney may know, but you're never going to want anybody else to know. Right. The hardest thing is when you sit with somebody and you give advice for something, and then you'll do the total opposite of what you told them to do.
Right.
Which I think is a very common. So seeing that you already mentioned, I wasn't. Leah, what do you want to ask, Leah? Because we're coming to a close soon.
I understand.
What do you want to ask?
It's fine. Go ahead.
You're taking forever to.
I'll let you go. No, it's fine. Because what I was gonna say is, in terms of like, kind of trying to keep that, I think when I think about now, this will be relating to us, but it's not a matter of you giving us any opinion on this or any advice, right? I think for us. I think for us, a lot of time, well, for me, personally speaking, when it came to this guy and I, right? We would get, couples goals, blah, 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 right? But what happens is that people are only seeing what you allow them to see. And for me, I knew that we had a lot of misunderstandings behind closed doors. I knew that we had some stuff that we needed to work through behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. However, I allowed the people, in their words of couples goals, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that affected me, just like, I didn't know how to say, I don't want to be your goal, right? I don't want you to look up to me in this particular situation because I'm trying to figure this shit out myself.
Right.
And so I think it's easy to kind of, I don't want to say mask, right? Because in the sense of being very aware of, hey, I don't want my business out in the street, right? I want us to try to figure it out without any infiltration from outside. Any opinions from outside.
I mean, I think, but the reality of it is
professional opinions from outside.
People are going to admire couples.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, I understand that.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we are not meant to be alone. And I think a lot of times what people are admiring is that you even have a mate or how you engage outside in the public. I think that's what they admire. Of course, they only can admire what you show them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's even with celebrity couples that we find out later that they got like all this drama and all this problem. We're like, oh my God, I thought you were like the couple of the year. And I just wanted that. But I think as you mature, you realize that there's no way that there can't be stuff that people are working through.
Right.
And I think that doesn't mean that you can't still enjoy each other, go on a vacation, or still have a good sex life, or still go out and behave well. But that doesn't mean that there's not issues. There's not things that you're working through. Right. And I say that because even as an individual person, let's take it and not be a couple.
Yeah.
There's things that you want to work on. You could be happy with a lot of things and still have an area that you want to work on. That's not an area that is your strong suit. And I think that's the same thing for couples.
Yeah. I think that's perfectly stated.
So my question was related to something from before.
Oh, see how that works?
No,
I had to hold back my joint and let you get your stuff off.
No, my question
it's okay, but go ahead.
Why does everything sound so sexual with you two?
Well, it's been a long time. It's been at least like 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Look at her face. So,
Lord,
let it go.
That's too much information, but I wish say it.
At times I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. I'm not gonna play these games with you because I can't stand it, right? Because you be making people think that you don't get none, right? And it kind of sounds as though like you're trying to get some sympathy pussy, and so
I wasn't expecting that.
I know you never do.
So Coach La.
Well, I hope he does. I hope this helps y'all. Whatever y'all just use me for, I hope it works.
Thank you for your service. All right. So my question related to what you said a few minutes ago. If you had to kind of give like a percentage, is there a higher recovery rate from infidelity? And is it lower for women who commit, or is it about the same? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't know those numbers. I don't want to sit here and not make it up. Like, I haven't researched it. Now, I remember on one of my shows that we talked about that there's this misconception that women don't cheat and it's just men, and it's not. And we talked about that. A lot of women step out of their marriages too. I think men get more of a rap for it.
Yeah.
This is more of a talk about men doing it than the opposite sex.
But it hurts more when women do it. I mean, it's brutal.
And there were statistics about marriages too, that a lot of people after 10 years get divorced. I think I talked about that on my show too. And there was a higher success rate of people staying married, I think, after the second marriage, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I would have to go through those.
That makes sense because you
done figured out the do's and the don'ts, the things that
so
not,
right? I think that in my couple sessions, both men and women often are engaging in infidelity for something beyond sex. And I think people don't look at it from that way, right? Often is a emotional connection, it's communication, it's easy, right? It's like, it's not stress. I think the day-to-day in the complexity of being in a union, in a relationship, it can be stressful for both men and women. And I think a lot of that's what's sort of trickles into, it didn't mean to start like that. That's the common theme is like from the men and the women that I see, like I wasn't intending. It's not like I went out with this intention, but there was a level of safety and the level of connection. It ended up happening. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's like drugs, but I feel like to a certain extent, it's an escape from their day-to-day and their regular lives. Not even that they want to leave their relationships, but it becomes like almost like a coping strategy.
It's a euphoria.
Yeah, it's like a coping strategy. It's not even real to a certain extent. It's almost, this is a way for me to deal with the fact that I got this serious thing over here. So this is, which is why I say that there's like,
let me go play with this thing right here.
The increase of like the side chick and the side dude, that person is easy. I think about The Chi. Do you guys watch The Chi?
Not up to date.
When Emmett and his first
we saw up that right, and he ended up marrying her, but then they decided that
they were gonna do like the open relationship, and then
he couldn't handle it.
He was constantly cheating.
Right.
On her. And so she finally was just like, well, why don't we do this open relationship? And then she started doing it. And she enjoyed it. And he was like, okay, I want it to stop now. I don't like it anymore.
Well, we have talked about that on the show before, so I feel it's okay to kind of insert that. It wasn't a matter of me cheating with people, but it was a matter of me, not protecting and respecting not respecting the marriage and protecting it. And so after a while, I remember like
what'd you say?
What does that mean?
Ooh, good question.
Well, we don't have all night. It's literally
rub it. Okay,
what?
I'm sorry, break it. Go ahead.
You about to say BBD.
Yeah. So I think there were certain situations, I guess, and so I use
what does it mean to not respect your marriage? Just answer it. Just straight up.
You can't just I can't answer that in 20 seconds.
You can. I think
I
you
cannot.
can. I think you have the intelligence and the words and the capabilities to do so.
You son of a bitch. What? So I think it's a matter of like giving people what Leah calls like false hope and sprinkles, and feeling as though they're empowered to like disrespect Leah, right? Or disrespect us.
Your wife.
In
your
certain,
period.
and I think.
So does that mean that the person felt like they could go to Leah and be like, "Yep, I'll be talking to your husband"?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Whether they said it outright or they acted in a way, they felt like they had a position higher than mine as the wife.
Mm. Is that perceived? Is that a confirmation bias?
I'm sorry?
Is that perceived?
Oh, no. It's not. So here's the thing. It's not a confirmation bias. Well, and I guess it can be, right? Because
they could just walk in and have.
Oh yeah, no. By that, but no.
So remember Baby Boy? You saw Baby Boy, right?
It's been a long time since I seen Baby.
Do you remember the scene when Tyrese was in a car with Taraji and the girl walked past the car and looked in the car? Do you remember that?
Remotely. It's coming back to me.
So there's a scene, and basically Tyrese was messing with the girl. And
that's why I said it's like an energy, like a snootiness in the air of like, I got a one up on you. You think you know, but I know more than you know.
Well, in a sense, right? However, there was also like little actions, right?
That I kept denying, like, oh, that's not. She wouldn't do something like that.
Which for me is wow. Like, yo, I'm your wife. Like, your job is to listen to what I'm saying to you, and your job is to protect me, because I'm gonna protect you at all costs, right?
But that goes back to also a couple of things, but depending on, even because I have male clients too, it's like innocent. They know I have a wife or they know I have a girlfriend, but what is that woman's motive?
Well, so here's the thing. I've never been the woman who's always thought about the other woman.
As you should.
I'm always saying, listen, they didn't commit to me. They didn't decide to be in this here thing with you and I. You chose. You made that choice. So it's your job to make sure that, right? Because let's just say, I don't necessarily outright flirt, right? There's times that I'm like, oh my God, wait, whoa, no, I didn't mean that. Whatever you saw or thought you saw or you heard, that was not where I was coming from, okay? And so
you're a subtle flirt.
So here's the thing.
An unintentional flirt.
It must be unintentional. And I think from then
she has an energy, but she doesn't flirt.
I will
like
say
I do, but I think I'm a natural flirt. But some of it is
just a Virgo.
Listen,
He's a Virgo, but be quiet for 1 second, because I need to answer
a Virgo and a Libra. Y'all are both flirts, to be honest.
So in different ways, right? And so don't be trying to get little kudos for that shit.
But it's true. Y'all are both flirts.
Here's the thing, though.
You're like a subtle, natural. You got like a natural feminine energy that's like pheromones.
She shows boobs.
Baby,
and then
even when I don't, please don't do that.
You got pheromones that like, ooh.
Yeah, them pheromones be pheromoning.
Yeah.
Because she got some messages she told me about. The dude was like, yeah.
What are we doing?
And she was like, I'm married. He was like, so what?
What are we doing? Anyway.
All right.
But why not? Okay, y'all are both good looking people. So it's going to happen.
So my point is this, right?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I guess for me, And you are beautiful as well, sis. Okay. For
I'm
me,
single still, though.
baby.
You're single?
I should get. You know, they said, right. This is totally off topic, right? They said.
Can we
They
go
said
to?
that. They said that I need to utilize. Not they. Let me be clear. There was something I read. Don't know the exact source, but they said often your friends, your support system can find your mate better than you can because they know the other person and they know you. But I know most people don't want to be matchmakers because if it doesn't work out, they don't want to take responsibility.
It
So
backfired.
here's what a friend should do.
So we can always go
You
to
should
the
do a nice
we go
mixer.
out.
Yeah, mixer.
Do a
Speed dating.
mixer, and then you should invite. I'm doing a speed dating event. You guys didn't know this? I'm doing a
No,
speed
but
dating
a
event.
speed dating for you though.
No, but I can't be the center of attention. That's too obvious, and it makes me look desperate. I don't want to look. I don't want to be like that.
I feel that.
What they should do is do a
Oh, wait,
gathering.
why see how you put the negative connotation with that? It makes me look desperate. As
Right, but it kind of does. I
I'm
don't
the
want to
motherfucking
do.
prize here.
No, I don't want to do like a bachelor thing, like one of those reality shows. I don't want it to feel like
Okay.
that. Like I don't like that.
Well, you know how you girls are with roses.
But no,
Like-
what I want, right, is like do a party, like a mixer, like a kickback.
Right.
And then you invite all of the guys that you think would like me and I would like them back, and you just put them all in one space and we see what happens. Like a social experiment.
Like
because then like what's gonna happen is if they all do, then I have way more opportunity to find somebody
Options are good.
without it being, oh, you're coming to meet Lakeisha. Like
I feel that.
So
that
I can
would be like ideal. What would make
I can organize that. So kind of like an Eyes Wide Shut party.
No, it doesn't. No, it's just I'm gonna put some single people in the room, but I want the odds to be in Lakeisha's favor. So
right.
You invite single guys, and you don't invite a lot of single women.
Available females.
Right?
Oh, you
don't
reverse
invite available single females. You invite a bunch of women that are already taken. And it just so happens that you invite all these other guys, and I am like the only single person.
I see.
So that means I would have to take my ring off?
No, you can't play.
Why?
You would have to be like we would have to play like Shy Brothers, Shy Sister.
I can.
And you would ask questions because you're not on the market, but they would help me.
Yeah. Well,
but I think
so listen,
if I did this, right?
We're wrapping.
Time out.
No, we are
stop.
Jeez.
So time out.
This is juicy though. I know.
We played this game, right? If we had this event and we played this game, and right, I feel like, oh, you know what? No, because I feel like people they be talking to me with the wedding ring on. Time out. You'll hear in 1 second. They'll be talking to me, and I feel like I can get a lot more honesty and a better read on people just being married.
But you would be inviting people in your circle that know you and
Let's talk about this because there's some people that think they know me, they don't even know me.
But what I'm saying is that they would know you're off limits. So this wouldn't even be about you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I'm having a kickback at my house. I'm inviting all of my eligible bachelors. Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell you. So I tried this already. And the guy told my friend he didn't have anybody that was worth my time. She gave him like my stats and everything. He was like, yeah, I don't have nobody that's worth her time.
So that'd be tough too, right? Like, why? Like,
because everybody's going.
I feel like it's hard to understand who you are and know, feeling like we know your worth, right?
He said single. She has her own practice. She's 48 and she's beautiful. She didn't give a lot of information.
Okay.
She didn't even send a picture.
But that own practice, sometimes people just, they're not ready.
But you didn't even know what kind of practice it was.
It don't even matter. You sound like you are of relevance. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
it don't even matter.
I told my friends, stop telling people that I'm a psychotherapist. Don't include that in the.
Yeah. There's certain professions I think should not be led with. I think, and it's just so random, but I think correction officer.
Yeah, like there's just certain things that you just don't say.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's something that you don't lead with. You don't lead with that. You
because they're gonna feel like you're always shrinking them.
And you know that's a really bad word.
Shrinking?
Yeah.
Shrinking. Why? Like if you look at the history of what that means, it's so not what we do.
Oh.
It's so archaic, and like it's about like shrinking someone's brain. Like
that's the origin of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to shrink anybody's brain. I want to like make people think. I want people to think.
I'm glad that Leah, so you knew that?
Baby, what? You don't tap into me. How about that? And not in that way.
I'm a tap. So I wish she was drinking. I wish she had something in her mouth.
All right, guys, you guys are.
Yeah.
How long is the show? An hour?
Yeah. So
I thought it was longer than an hour.
No, we typically like to do like 45 minutes or maybe like a little over an hour. Just depends on.
You guys want to do the remake of the red balloon thing, the pop the balloon?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I do. Yes.
What now?
I think it's rude.
Oh, you think it's rude?
So we're gonna do a different version of it where you only pop the balloon if you're interested.
Oh.
Versus, do you know the psychology behind like walking out and all of the balloons are popping
just like
as soon as you walk out?
Yeah,
that's
that
like,
kind of.
Even though people are acting real cool about it, like it's like Pablo's Law with the whole bell with the dog. Like you're never gonna get that out of your head that all those balloons pop.
I'm lost. I have to watch it tonight. I see it, but it's one of those things.
I can understand that because there was one episode that I watched. It was one clip that I watched in the.
Well, you pop the balloon if you don't want to talk to.
You're not interested, and a lot of times, and sometimes they X themselves out based off of what the person is saying in the moment, right? So
no, they pop it when they walk out. If they don't like how they look,
first impression. You pop if off a first impression, you're like, yeah, there's nothing here for us. Like, but I can respect that because sometimes
and then as you're talking, they pop some more.
They can pop some more.
You respect that?
I respect the fact that if you don't feel like I think where I am in this space in my age, and not that I'm looking, baby, okay, because I'm not. But what I'm saying is that I can respect the fact that if you see me and you don't feel an instant connection, go ahead. Don't waste my time or yours.
Okay,
right? But then at the same point is that you haven't even gotten to hear me speak to even know, right? If you're connected, if there's an interest beyond the physicality.
I think it shows just the state of the dating world.
Oh, this. From what I hear, there's piss and poop and everything else floating in the pond.
Because not only that, then she walks up to everybody who popped. So now you got to hear all this negativity of why you weren't a good match for them before you hear the people who actually liked you. I think the reverse should be, why do I want to know why this other person doesn't want to talk to me? Like at the end of the day, it's I don't like the body. I didn't like your shoes. I didn't like
your fit wasn't.
So you hear all this negativity first, where I think that they should go to the people who didn't pop first, right?
I hear that, but
then at the end, maybe go to a few of the people who.
But what I do like about that too, right, is that when they go up, when the contestant goes up to pop, they then have the opportunity to say, I just didn't feel that connection, or I didn't like your fit, or we weren't a good match because X, Y, and Z. So it's not a matter of just constantly like attacking the person who is seeking the love, or hurting the person who is seeking the love or affection or companionship. Let's call it companionship because that's what they're looking for.
I mean, it's interesting. It's getting attention, but I just think that we're prone
to the negative
things that is negative and drama. And I don't know what. I'm still pondering what that's about.
Baby feels left out, so we can talk about this offline and figure this out.
I don't feel left out.
You do, and it's okay.
Listen,
I know.
I give a rat's ass about a red balloon thing.
I know.
What I'm trying to be mindful is of it's been a day, and I want to like wrap up and be mindful of time and not get into the weeds of balloons.
Well, I mean, this was interesting. I'm still talking because I was interested.
But I have something for you. Okay. So I want to ask this because I want to then lead to how people, can listen to you and find you more. Can you explain what Bet on Self is and where that came from? Because that is a
good question.
Yeah.
So Bet on Self means to believe, empower, and transform your life. So it's belief in self, it's empowering oneself and transforming one's life. That's what Bet on Self is all about. Mm-hmm. I believe in positive self-psychology. And I think what that all really stems from is how do you realize your own strengths and that you've already got through so many hard things. I think we don't realize, especially as Black folks, we are from a lineage of people who are resilient and transformative and courageous and brave. Like it's already in us to be that way. We don't have to be afraid of anything. So I think the betting on self piece is just don't be afraid. And the only person you can really 100% bet on is you. If you really realize that you take everything back to self, accountability, everything back to you. How do you want to show up in every space is on you. You can choose. You can choose no matter how messed up your situation is. You can have two people, children, if you want to call it, that grow up in the same household with the same parents doing the same dysfunctional stuff. And one will excel and one won't. What's the difference between the two? One of them is betting on themselves. One of them makes a decision in that moment that despite these circumstances, I know that there's better than this. And I don't have to be like these people. There has to be something else. I'm going to find it and I'm going to make a way for me. They think beyond what they see. And so my father would tell me, baby, you need to bet on yourself. Out of all of his children, he always said that I had the Midas touch. He said, you always land on your feet. I don't know what it is about you out of all my kids. Things that would knock most people off, would make them stop. You keep excelling. He said, I am in awe with you. And I'm your father and I'm in awe with you. Wow. And he said, I don't want you ever to not bet on yourself. He said, if you keep doing that, you will always be successful. And I don't worry about you. Because I didn't think I was a daddy's girl. Because I'm the oldest of 6 children. I was his firstborn. He was 19. My mother was 16 when they had me. And you can only imagine a young Black couple trying to figure out how to be parents. So there were certain things they just didn't know. They didn't know. And I was always a very special young girl. From a very young age, I was the kid that was like, hi, my name's Lakeisha. My name's Lakeisha. What's your name? Hi, you want to be my friend? And so my mother would be like, cut it out. Nobody wants to talk to you. Cut it out. You're going to get you're just too friendly. Somebody's going to steal you. Something's going to happen to you.
Something's going to happen.
And she was the person that instilled fear in me when I really think about it. I know that it was a safety. It was a protective factor. Like, stop being so friendly.
Stranger
Stop
danger.
being so trusting.
Stop talking to so many people. Be quiet. Observe more. So it was like there was a blessing in it. And it was also something that stifled who I was as a person. Because I didn't really know what to do with all of that energy. I was the kid that every report card, she talks too much. She's always helping everybody else. She needs to stay in her seat. She's doing too much. Blah, blah, blah.
Yikes.
So when you think about the trajectory, talking too much, being too loud, being too outspoken, all of these things seem like they were problems.
That's funny.
No one really taught me how to hone into it and to make it a strength.
Wow.
I never knew about being a therapist or psychotherapist or a social worker or having a radio show. Nobody talked to me about what to do with all of it. It just always seemed like it was something that I needed to stop doing and control. And so why I keep telling people to bet on themselves is that you already know, deep down, you already know who you are. You've always known until somebody else came along and told you that you were different. You shouldn't do this. That's wrong. Don't do that. Do this, do that. And they didn't really tell you or teach you how to use what you already had.
Mm-hmm.
What made you unique and what made you brilliant, what made you awesome. And for those of us that got that, because some people met people along the way that helped them, and I'm blessed that that happened for me along the way. My father was one of those people too. It's not too late.
Right.
You can be 50 and bet on yourself. You can be 60, 70. If you got breath in you, you can bet on yourself.
You can always bet on
Right?
self.
You can always bet on yourself. You can always believe in who you are. You can always empower yourself, and you can always transform your situation.
Absolutely.
I love that. And so on that note, can you let the fine people know how to find you and how to access you? One, for the educational, informational aspect, but also for services.
Absolutely. So I have a website. It's real easy. www.IamCoachLA.com.
Wow.
You can find all of my programs and all of my events. Also, I have a show that comes on every Sunday at 10 p.m. called Conversations with Coach La. And I bring different guests on and we talk about betting on ourselves. I like to get every kind of person to just talk about their journeys. But not just talk about their journeys, but to give actual tangible skills that can help people apply it to their own life. And then I do events in the community too. One of my popular events is pole therapy. Pole therapy. People's like, no, it's not pole therapy. We're not getting on poles, people.
Too.
That's a different class.
It's poetry and therapy, which is pole therapy. I'm always sparking people to write. Like, you people surprised how many people used to write poems or used to do that when they were younger, and they never ever shared their work. So I'm like calling all of the unsung poets in the community to come out, read your poetry. Yeah, so we switch locations.
Okay.
So you guys are watching me literally pivot. I'm pivoting real time. Slade's booked 2 events on the same night.
Uh-oh.
Slade's Bar and Grill. Love you, Slades, but the drama, right? So I am now.
Is it up to you to figure it out?
Well, yeah. They didn't really leave it up to me, but I'm not waiting for them to leave it up to me.
Fair enough.
You're watching me pivot. So one of my team members was told that there was an event in Slades. Slades didn't tell me. And they sent me a screenshot of the event. Same day, same times. Slades didn't tell me.
Jesus Christ.
I know, I'm just spilling the beans.
Hey, man.
The manager apologized, but up until right now, the owner hasn't responded to confirm whether or not it's true or not. So I'm not waiting when my event is Friday to figure out what Slades is going to do or not do. So we will be at the Mix, Boston, 555 Talbot Avenue, which is a Black-owned restaurant. We are pivoting real time. You're watching me pivot. I would really love for the community to show up and show out and get these tickets.
Okay.
Just to show that we can pivot through any adversity. Because this is not what any event promoter wants to have happen to you.
No.
Booking the same week of your event and having to do a location change. When you've done all this marketing and promotion, you've sold tickets. But the worst thing that can happen is I show up, this other event shows up, my people are confused, and there's all of this drama at the door.
Yeah.
Right.
So I figured this is the
safest,
most strategic option.
Yeah.
is to just take the matter in my hands and bet on myself and switch it to another location and know that it's about to be fire regardless.
Word.
All right.
So on that note, thank you so much, Coach La.
Yes, you guys got me. It's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids
children are?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my son has a girlfriend now.
Oh, well, that's I mean,
how
old is your son?
He's 18. He'll be 19 next month.
Oh.
Like a real girlfriend. Like he got her flowers. I'm so impressed with my son. Like he is just like, he's awesome. My son's awesome. He's like great. And that is me. He's all me. He's planning to make it official on National Girlfriend's Day.
Oh wait, what day is that?
What day? Huh?
I think it's August 1st or something like that.
Oh, can you make it official too, baby?
I gotta send some flowers out to my chicks because you know what I mean. Because I'm not gonna.
Baby, stop.
I just think it's so sweet that he even was so intentional to make it official on National Girlfriend.
I think that's cute.
I need to know that was a. They have a day
so many
for
days.
Everything,
yes, they do. I mean, granted, they already are calling themselves boyfriend. He told me, "Ma, it's not official, but we're locked in."
Did he post? Did he post on Instagram yet?
I don't know. I didn't check.
See, that's when it counts.
We're locked in.
That's when it counts.
I think that's where people get.
No, you know what it counts? He's probably gonna be so mad at me, but she's his screensaver on his phone.
Jesus. Oh, when he saves it in her.
Yeah, like his phone, his lock screen is her.
Oh, well, I mean, for her, it took years before I was able to be on that thing. Anyway.
I want a boo. I want a boo to do that with.
Well,
I'm on my lock screen.
I mean, you know what? The grass is not the grass.
I should say we are doing a speed dating event. So on Eventbrite, look for Pole Therapy 13. We actually have people signed up too. So this is going to be interesting.
That's what's up.
So is that soon?
This is Friday. It's called
everything's happening on Friday.
It's called A Night of Speed Dating with a Poetic Twist. All of the poets are going to be doing nasty erotica poems or poems about relationships.
Can I get in?
We're not gonna. Never mind. Anyway, all right. So let's end this, and then we'll
There's gonna be a part two.
Leah, just talk.
No. Well, we need to collaborate anyway. We should collaborate on do a part 2.
Yeah, it should be a part 2.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna officially close this. Thank you so much for being here. Wedlocked and Loaded, you know what it is. It's my pleasure to.
Our pleasure.
It's my pleasure to steer. Ouch! Don't do that, Leah.
Our pleasure.
It's our
introduce.
That's not what I was gonna say. That's okay,
but that's what I'm saying.
What are y'all having a baby or something? What is going on here? What are y'all introducing?
No, that candy shop is long closed. Absolutely. All right. So
what candy shop is still open?
Shut up, Leah. Wedlocked and Loaded.
Factory is
Wedlocked and I am Daniel Laurent.
And I'm Leah Nicole.
And this has been
la 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 la.
Ooh la la la.
Can you do the sorry?
You guys gave me like the dopest drops ever. Y'all are just hands down the dopest drops ever.
Of course. See, that's what
dopest drops ever.
All right, we have to. So this is Wedlocked and Loaded. You know what it is.
Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and Loaded.